this is SSJ here, and this is going to be kind of a special video. So, about exactly 5 years ago today, what was released in theaters by Akira Toriyama and Toei was the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. And I just want to talk about this movie 5 years later, because initially, 5 years ago, I thought the movie was okay. I had some problems with it, but overall, I still loved the fighting in the movie. Goku versus Broly, Vegeta versus Broly, and then Gogeta just wrecking Broly. So on this special episode, we're going to kind of go into the details. We'll talk about the plot. We'll talk about the relevance of this movie to current day Dragon Ball and what the impact it had. So stay tuned. So the first part is the story. So the thing I want to talk about with the Dragon Ball Super Broly story, so the story is pretty much straightforward. It's almost identical to the original Broly Legendary Super Saiyan story. The only major difference is that Paragus and Broly's uprising is a lot different from the Broly Legendary Super Saiyan movie. Let me explain. So in the Broly Legendary Super Saiyan movie, the old one, the whole reason why Broly was banished from King Vegeta's planet was due to the fact that his power level was too high. Like, he had a very high, abnormally high power level, so he was banished. They tried to kill the baby while he was still an infant, but luckily he survived the stab wound. He has like a scar on his stomach or his abdomen, but he was able to protect himself and his father before the planet was eventually destroyed by Frieza. So that's the difference there. The difference now, here's the slight difference with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie. In the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie version, while yes, Paragus did have Broly, and Broly did have a high power level that was actually higher than Vegeta's power level and probably Goku's at the time, but it was higher than Vegeta's level. So therefore, King Vegeta, that's Vegeta's father, he was threatened by the fact that Broly was stronger. He was abnormally strong. He was even stronger than probably him and stronger than his son. So he had his planet be exiled. He had his son Broly be exiled to another planet. Now, the difference is he didn't try to kill him like he did in the original. He just said, hey, I want you to go to a different planet, and maybe he'll take this planet over. And I think it was planet Vampa. Maybe he'll take this planet over, and if not, then it wasn't meant to be, kind of thing. So, of course, Paragus doesn't like that. The difference is that Paragus actually cares about his son more in this version than he does in the Legendary Super Saiyan version, because in that version, he just sees him as like a pawn that he can control, while he does still have the control device to control Broly in this one. Paragus does actually care and love his son in this one, because as you see, when King Vegeta tried to send him away to a distant planet, Paragus was like, no, I need to be with my son. And he tried to fly off, and they said, no, you can't. So he disobeyed King Vegeta's orders, got on a ship, and went to the planet to go after his son, planet Vampa. Another cool thing is that, so we kind of get to see more of the Saiyans in this kind of version of Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball era, because obviously we're not going to get that same version back in the day where it's the evil Saiyans and they're savages, and like Bardock, the green Bardock, green and black suit Bardock. This is kind of leaning more towards Dragon Ball Minus, and if you don't know what Dragon Ball Minus is, it's a chapter that was alongside Jaco, the Intergalactic Patrolman series that was also written by Akira Toriyama. So we get into Planet Vegeta, where we see the Ginyu Forest and Frieza and King Cold and stuff like that, and Zarbon and Dodoria, all of Frieza's men pretty much. We see all of them with King Cold and Frieza. King Cold is there so he can let the Saiyans know, like, hey, I'm stepping down because I got some other business I gotta do. So Frieza is gonna be overseeing y'all's galactic ruler of this universe. And mind you, Frieza's a lot more quick to anger than I am. And Frieza, of course, you know how Frieza is. As soon as he steps off of his ship to greet the Saiyans, he's like, hello, monkeys, because Frieza's racist like that. And of course, everybody's like, Master Lord Frieza. So Frieza let them know that he was in charge of the Saiyans, of course, and then I like the scene where you see King Cold, you see King Vegeta try to shake King Cold's hand, but King Cold was being a dick, saying, like, trying to act like he didn't see it. You know, that's kind of why I'm glad in the Android saga Trunks killed your ass. And this is kind of ironic too, because he's saying that Frieza has a worse temper than mine. This leads me to believe, I wonder if, this leads me to believe that because back in the Android saga when Trunks killed Frieza and then was about to kill King Cold was like saying, hey, you want to work with me and take Frieza's side as the ruler of the universe? And he said no. So it's like he has no qualms of replacing his son if his son is killed, which is kind of messed up but hilarious. But that's why I'm glad Future Trunks killed your ass. So sorry about that tidbit. But anyway, so right after Frieza tells everybody that he's in charge of them, he drops off some scouters to the Saiyans. So now that's kind of like the little origin story of how the Saiyans got their scouters in the first place. And you see like other cool things like Goku's mom, Gine. Mind you, I'm not a fan of how they did Dragon Ball Minus because I like old Bardock better, but I do like how they showed Gine because that was a big question, like who's Goku's mom? We never get to see who that is. A lot of people thought it was Fasha, who was on Bardock's team back then. No, it's this random sand woman named Gine. That's Goku's mom and Raditz's mom. We got to see Raditz in the movie as well too. The destruction of Planet Vegeta was shown, where you see Frieza destroy Planet Vegeta. He said you got to put down the dog while it's still asleep or something like that. Meaning if that power is not kept in check, then they're gonna eventually become stronger than him, which is a crazy fear. And which is crazy, but Frieza leaves the planet, and then eventually we flash over to where Broly is on his planet Vampa. So Broly's on planet Vampa, and you see that he gets found by Chile and some other red guy named Limo, I think. So they both find Broly and Paragus and bring them to Frieza because of course they're working with the Frieza Force, and Frieza's like, oh, you're a Saiyan, huh? So you could definitely be somebody worth being on the Frieza Force because I could use a Saiyan, because you know Frieza likes having Saiyans under his belt even though he hates them. So when Frieza said that Vegeta is still alive, because Paragus obviously hates King Vegeta for trying to get rid of Broly. Paragus obviously hates King Vegeta, so he said he's still alive, and he said, yes, I will take my revenge on Prince Vegeta, kind of like in the original Broly movie, where he wanted his revenge on King Vegeta, but because King Vegeta is dead, the only person he could get his revenge on is Vegeta. So he did the same thing like he did in that movie, but there are some differences though. So another thing, Broly is a lot different in this movie too, because he's not like this sadistic, evil demon like he is in that version. This version, he's more of like a caveman kind of being. He doesn't really know what's going on, but then he meets Chile, and he learns how to interact with people. He learns to adapt quick to his environment, kind of thing. Almost identical to Goku and Bulma when they first met. So that's kind of what I like about Broly in this movie. When they get to where the Dragon Balls are involved, of course, and Frieza, I know, wants the Dragon Balls because he wants to get taller, you know. And then Bulma wants the Dragon Balls because she wants a BBL, she wants a big butt. So, you know, stupid stuff like that. The movie starts kind of getting good when Trunks finally calls up Bulma from, like a FaceTime thing, and he says, hey, Mom, the Dragon Balls aren't here. What happened to the Dragon Balls? And she's like, I don't know. What happened? Like, show me the security footage. And they see the security footage of Chile and Limo taking them out of the Capsule Corporation, because I guess somehow they had a Dragon Ball radar. So, and this is the only time we see Trunks, and I'm okay with that because I hate Kid Trunks and Goten. So I'm fine with this. There's fans out there that hate Goku and would rather see Trunks and Goten be the main characters, but I disagree with that. So then, with them knowing that the Dragon Balls are not there anymore, they finally see where Frieza and them are. Frieza and them are like in this icy area or whatever, and that's where Paragus meets Vegeta for the first time, and Frieza's there, and he says, well, I'm here to claim this planet. This planet's mine, but before I do that, you're gonna deal with Broly. So then they fight Broly. It's a big fight, and it's a really good fight too. First it's Vegeta, this is one of the movies where Vegeta's not getting his ass beat the whole movie. Like, he's actually doing good, blocking Broly's attacks. His transformations look majestic. You see him go from Super Saiyan 1 to Super Saiyan God. So he's doing some cool stuff. He's fighting strategically against Broly. He's actually doing a decent job whooping Broly's ass too. So then eventually Broly starts getting stronger and overwhelming Vegeta. And then that's where Goku steps in. Now this is where the fight kind of becomes interesting because Goku's doing some cool stuff in the beginning. I like the scene where he has Broly like in a God bind when he's in Super Saiyan God, and he's telling Broly like, hey, we're kind of alike. I know you're not really evil and this is not what you want to do. You got to stop fighting and we'll try to work this out. And of course, Broly's already pissed off, so he's still fighting. So I thought that little moment was kind of cool though. It kind of was a callback to when Goku used to be able to like read minds. I felt like he was kind of like reading Broly's energy, like, hey, he's not evil. He's not pure evil. So eventually Broly starts going crazy and whooping Goku's ass, and then he does like a move kind of similar to what Hulk did on Loki in the first Avengers, where he just starts smashing him around with his he grabs his leg and starts smashing him around. Eventually Piccolo chimes in and Piccolo says, hey Goku, what's going on out there? And he says, hey, well, this is a tough opponent, and if anything crazy happens, I'll just come to you later on. He says, no, how about I come to you? He's like, no, because I need the Dragon Balls just in case, because you know Piccolo's linked to Kami, and if Piccolo dies, Kami dies, and no Dragon Balls. Eventually, the fight's still going on. Goku gets beat. Eventually, Vegeta comes in. Eventually Goku goes Super Saiyan Blue, and that's where Goku kind of starts being on par, fighting even with Broly. Eventually, to where Broly starts to get kind of overwhelmed. That's where Broly gets like a little rage boost again and powers up. That's when we finally see where Vegeta comes in and he says, Kakarot, what the hell is going on? You're messing with him. We got to fight together. You can't beat him by yourself. So that's when they both try to do a fuse. Gallic, I think, what was it? A Gallic Kamehameha combined was what they tried to do on Broly. Still didn't do nothing. So eventually he said, you know what, Vegeta, I got a better idea. So he grabs Vegeta's hand and they both teleport to Piccolo so they could learn the fusion dance. That's all fine and dandy. And I thought it was funny how they flew right next to not Golden Frieza at the time, but they flew next to Frieza. They said, here, Frieza, have fun. So they could let Frieza get his ass whooped by Broly. And one thing I kind of forgot to mention in this whole discussion is that, you know, even though Paragus is at fault here in this whole story, it's really Frieza that was the one stirring the pot. I feel like Frieza is the least innocent character in this whole situation. Nonsense. He helped you guys out in the Tournament of Power because he was trying to help himself, which was something that Vegeta mentioned to Goku earlier in the movie. So I do like that, because he was like, that's stupid. Why would you get Frieza, the guy who tried to kill us many times, who destroyed our planet? Why would you revive him to help us fight in the Tournament of Power? I agree with Vegeta on that. It should not have been Frieza. I get that Frieza's a fan favorite, but I'm just tired of seeing Frieza. We saw Frieza come back in the Android Saga. We saw Frieza come back in Fusion Reborn and get one-shotted by Gohan. We saw him come back in GT. He comes back a lot of times in the video games that do like what if stories. He comes back way too much. Like, my favorite villain is Cell. It should have been Cell, but I digress. Let me not get into that. So anyway, Frieza, but what I was saying earlier though, Frieza is at fault and he should have been punished in this movie. So I still thought it was very funny to see Frieza get thrashed and washed by Broly for a good it was an hour, because what ended up happening was, while Goku and Vegeta left to go and learn the fusion dance, Frieza was getting his ass whooped for a good hour because they failed the fusion dance the first time and turned into Fat Gogeta. They had to wait 30 minutes, and then they did the fusion dance again. They turned into Skinny Old Man Gogeta. So that was another 30 minutes of ass whooping that Frieza got. I did think it was kind of cool that he turned into his golden form. How dare you make me exert myself? How about you face the true power of Golden Frieza? But of course he gets his ass beat immediately after that. So eventually we finally get the right fusion. They fuse into Gogeta. And of course that was a big hype moment, because this is the first time we're seeing Gogeta in the actual canon, because in the Janemba movie, that's not canon. So that was cool. This is the first time we're seeing Gogeta in base form, because if you remember in Fusion Reborn, when they fused into Gogeta, they were both in base form, but when they became Gogeta, they were Super Gogeta. So it's kind of cool to see him in his base form. They fuse into him, and that's when Piccolo's like, hey, go out there and defeat him. And he says, okay, let's go. But wait, we are Gogeta. And then they go and they fight him. And I thought that was cool. We see that, of course, Frieza couldn't handle it. So that's when Whis stepped in, and Whis was kind of like, dodging Broly's hits, because Whis, Whis is good at dodging. He used Ultra Instinct, I'm guessing, to dodge Broly's hits. So Broly immediately sets his sights on Gogeta, and it is on. Like, Gogeta is just flying around the air, just flawlessly dodging. Broly's throwing Ki Blast throughout the whole arena, and you see Gogeta just flying all over every direction. And then immediately, 2 seconds later, you see him say, now it's our turn. He powers up the Super Saiyan right away. Like, the way he powered up in the Super Saiyan when the energy blast was headed his way, he blocked off all those energy blasts and said, no, cancel. Like in the Budokai games. Like, it was so hype. And then eventually he started doing most of his moves that we see him do in the games. It's like a rain shower move that he does where he kicks down Broly. We see like him finessing Broly. Broly tries to like punch him, but then he does like this quick dodge, and then like he side kicks him in the face. Like, Gogeta is awesome in this movie. If I have not said that already, he is awesome in this movie. So then eventually, like, the fight is so crazy that eventually they start like breaking barriers and like ripping the fractures of the universe, to where like they're like in this other pocket dimension fighting each other, and Gogeta's like upside down, and he's like, what the? Then they're both in the dimension. Broly eventually powers up, rips his shirt off, and goes in the full power Super Saiyan legendary Broly. And then eventually he lands a couple of hits on Gogeta. But yo, once Gogeta goes Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta, that is it for Broly, because once he went Super Saiyan Blue, you can go watch the fight now too. There'll be stupid asses that'll say something different, but go and watch that fight right now on YouTube. The fight between Gogeta and Broly. Once he went Super Saiyan Blue, it was over for Broly. Broly couldn't even touch Gogeta. Now, yeah, Broly was able to kind of compete and still catch up to like Gogeta and still fight him, but Broly was still getting his ass whooped. He did not land a single hit on Gogeta. Gogeta was just dancing around the whole battlefield, just whooping Broly. And eventually, finally, towards the end, that's when we start seeing like Chile and other characters saying like, bro, this is not, Broly shouldn't be doing this because he's just a confused boy. And if we keep letting this fight go on forever, he's gonna die, which he was gonna die, which proved, we see the sky go black because the Chile used the Dragon Balls because they were gonna wish Broly back from planet Vampa. What ended up happening was they see the light, the sky went black. Whis says this battle is going to come to a conclusion, and that's when Gogeta powers up his full power Kamehameha that he was going to use to blast Broly into oblivion. And you could tell that Broly was getting weaker too, because like, remember how Broly, his irises disappear? You see his eyes come back and he's scared. He's like, as the Kamehameha is about to hit him. So you can't tell me that Broly was going to do anything to Gogeta. Yeah, like he's able to tank hits and stuff like that, but you can't tell me that there was some kind of way that he was going to come out on top against Gogeta. There just wasn't. So I thought that whole thing was cool, and honestly, the fanboy / kid in me was happy that this movie came out, because if you remember back in Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, the intro of that game shows Gogeta fighting Broly, and obviously I know that Gogeta would not be getting punched out like Broly did in the Budokai 3 trailer, because Gogeta is just way stronger than Broly, so there's just no way. So the fact that we got this movie and he's fighting Broly, even though it's not that Broly, but it's still Broly. He's fighting Broly, he just whooped his ass, and he still proved to be one of the strongest characters in Dragon Ball, both Gogeta and Broly respectively, because individually Goku and Vegeta were struggling against Broly, but when they fused, I mean, it was like night and day. So what were my problems I had with this movie? The problems I had with this movie was mainly just the Dragon Ball Minus stuff, kind of getting rid of the old Bardock, because I like old Bardock, the green and black suit Bardock. The Gine stuff was cool and sweet to see. There was a reference to Vegeta's brother Tarbell, where one of the other Saiyans on a distant planet say, hey, don't you have a brother named Tarble? And Vegeta says, yeah, but who cares? Like, what? You have a whole brother. So I thought that was kind of stupid. Another stupid thing I thought was, so at the very end, why didn't Gogeta kill Frieza? So at the very end, let me get into this. So right after Broly got sent back to Vampa when Gogeta was about to destroy him with his final Kamehameha or whatever, there's a scene where like Frieza tried to destroy Chile and Limo because after they made the wish, they got in their ship and went away because obviously Frieza's pissed at them because he was going to use the Dragon Balls to wish for himself to be taller, which was a dumb wish too. Because somebody else in the movie said that you could just stay in your second form to be taller. He says, oh no, I want to be in my fourth form. It's just like, Frieza, you're doing too much. You don't need the Dragon Balls for that. If anything, use the Dragon Balls to wish for immortality. Anyway, so I think at the very end, he should have killed Gogeta should have killed Frieza because before Gogeta was going to fight Broly, he said, Frieza, we'll deal with you later. And of course, Frieza was going to try to kill them. He says, did not want Frieza to kill Limo and Chile. So that being said, I think Frieza definitely 1000% with no justification, he should have been killed at the end of Broly because he was the one that caused everything at the end of the day. The Saiyans, the whole destruction of the Saiyan planet, Bardock dying, Broly being a savage. He lied to Broly and Paragus about the destruction of Planet Vegeta because he was the one that blew it up and he told them that it was a meteor. So he lied just so he could have allies that won't turn on him later. My hopes for the future is that I hope Broly comes back and kills Frieza or I hope Broly finds out that Frieza killed Paragus because there's a scene in the movie. That's how Broly ends up getting real strong to the point that they needed to fuse because Frieza knew that if somebody close to you died, that would trigger the Super Saiyan transformation, just like how when he killed Krillin on Namek, it triggered Goku to go Super Saiyan for the first time. So he did that to make Broly mad so he could go legendary Super Saiyan. But even then, I wish they knew, or I wish they told them like, hey, it wasn't no stray Ki Blast, it was Frieza, so Frieza should be the one you should be going after. So I hope Broly finds that out one day. So overall, despite my little grievances, this movie is a perfect at least 8 out of 10, 8 or 8.5 out of 10. The enjoyment level is off the roof. Now, the impact that this movie has, I'll say, is that this movie, like Gogeta specifically and like the Broly in this movie, right now, when you look at most Dragon Ball games, how many times do you always see these characters brought back and used in special events? Right now in the Breakers, they're special characters right now. Broly was a recently released Raider character. We get plenty of DLCs and content in some of the Dragon Ball games from this specific movie. So I feel like the hype is definitely there. And the movie definitely has a really good, reputation after the movie came out. The legacy behind the movie is definitely well deserved. It was good to see Goku and Vegeta team up like they were always teased to in Super. Most people complained about Dragon Ball Super not being that good. But listen, Dragon Ball Super Broly is absolutely peak Dragon Ball Super. And that's all I have to say. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you guys later.
She don't wanna be saved, don't save her. 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 She don't wanna be saved.